Hey guys, I'm a Combat Survivor here. I was just reading an article, and while I'm reading this article, I'm seeing, pretty much from the beginning of the article, that the person who wrote this article and presents it as if it's news clearly has a friggin' agenda. They clearly have their own opinion, and they have absolutely skewed this article that they call news to present one side of things. Now, look, I've been noticing this, since I was old enough to critically analyze anything. So it's not a surprise to me. But just how blatant it has gotten. How just openly, you're a retard, and they can just throw anything they want at you, and you're just going to believe this crap. It just kind of... Here's what the article was about, alright? Now, you know what? Before I even get to what that article is about, let me talk about news. News used to be, or at least the concept of news used to be, you present the facts of something. You report what happened. Remember when you were a kid in school? Who, what, why, where, how, and when? You remember that? That was it. That's what you were supposed to put in. You weren't supposed to interject your own opinion into this stuff. You were supposed to report this. That's why you're a reporter. You're supposed to just report the facts. You're not an editor. That's for the editorial page. You're a friggin' reporter. Now back to the article. This article is saying that the United States needs to take a good long look at Portugal's liberal drug policy. Now first, let's put Portugal in perspective. If you watched my other video on it was actually my first PHTF video. It talks about Michelle Obama going to Spain, but in there I talk about Portugal. And if you didn't know it, Portugal is so close to collapsing right behind Greece that pretty much it's done. It's over. That's how bad Portugal is. So looking to Portugal for anything right about now is probably just about a bucket of stupid. But let's get back to this. News article. All right. So Portugal's liberal drug policy is something we need to look at. What it then goes on to say is 10 years ago, Portugal had, in the estimation of whoever the hell the authority was, 100,000 heroin addict, IV heroin addicts. Now, Portugal then legalized all drugs. Across the board, it's legal. You get caught, they take you in front of a little nanny and a judge and a social worker, and if you still want to get high, no, then you go get high. It's up to you. What they're saying now is, one more little tidbit that's just gleaned through. Portugal had the absolute highest HIV rate of any European country 10 years ago. Now, fast forward where the article's going, and it says, now, because they legalized all the drugs, Portugal now has 45,000 heroin addicts. Only 45,000 from 100,000 10 years ago. And they present it as though this is because they legalized all these drugs. And somehow magically legalizing these drugs has made people realize, wow, now that they're legal, I shouldn't get high. See, the funny thing is, they don't mention in there how many of those addicts died from the AIDS they got from sticking frickin' needles in their arms and sharing them with their buddies who had AIDS. The article completely skips over any numbers of how many of them have died, because they want you to believe that this ridiculous concept, nobody can present an argument that is anywhere based in reality, that legalizing drugs somehow is going to bring down the addiction rate. It's counterintuitive. That's like saying if you legalize domestic abuse, less people will beat their wives. It's so fucking ridiculous that it's laughable that they present this with a straight face, right? So, anyway, so this is just my little rant on how ridiculously skewed the media has gotten. To the point that they're just a frickin' third grader, an LD third grader, can look at this article and realize, wait a second, if they had the highest AIDS population, and now they don't, their HIV infections from drug use have fallen 90%. You know what that tells you? 90% of the fuckers that had AIDS got dead. See how it wasn't the magic, fluffy legalization of the drugs? Anyway, that's my rate. Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.